What is up, everyone? My name is Jack Staffel, back again with another video, and today I'm here with another Christmas review, and this review is for the December 25th, 2006 episode of Monday Night Raw. This is the Tribute to the Troops episode, and I haven't really seen any of these Tribute to the Troops episodes in full. I know they've been doing them since like '03, but this was like the first one that I've actually sat down and watched in its entirety, and you know what? It was a fun show. It wasn't exactly anything noteworthy to storylines or anything like that. If you're looking for like storyline progression, this is probably an episode you can skip if you are watching 2006 Raws or anything like that. If you skip this one, you're not gonna miss out on much at all. But yeah, let's just get into the review. So the first match was John Cena versus Edge. Now, the feud that these two had in 2006 was just incredible. I mean, starting all the way at the beginning of the year at the New Year's Revolution pay-per-view, with John Cena winning the Elimination Chamber, defending the WWE title. I think he'd been champion since WrestleMania 21 up to that point. So after winning this grueling match, he's covered in blood. He can barely get up. And so what happens, Vince McMahon comes out and announces that there's one more match happening and that an individual is cashing in his Money in the Bank, and that is Edge, who won the Money in the Bank, the very first Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania 21. Cashed it in on John Cena and won the WWE title, and that started an incredible feud between the two. Ultimately, Cena did win back the WWE title a couple of weeks later at the Royal Rumble, which I still don't get why they took the belt off of Edge so quickly. But he eventually ended up getting it back in June on an episode of Raw, beating Rob Van Dam and John Cena in a triple threat match. And they had a match at SummerSlam where Edge actually went to Cena's house and slapped his dad, which, oh my god, which was just so funny but kind of fucked up as well. So they have the match at SummerSlam, and like Edge just attacks Cena from behind with brass knuckles to the back of his head while the ref isn't looking, and retains the WWE title that way. And then they have the big blow-off match at Unforgiven in a tables, ladders, and chairs match in Edge's hometown of Toronto, Canada. If you haven't seen that match, go check it out. It was one of the best matches of that year. Just the home crowd support for Edge, which is just overwhelming, and the fans hated John Cena, which it was just a great match overall. And like, it ended with Cena hitting an FU from the top of a ladder through 2 tables, which was just crazy. But so how fitting that at the final Raw of the year, we get probably the best feud Raw had that year. So Cena got a huge reception from the troops at the military base in Baghdad, Iraq. I can say that properly. It was near a palace somewhere. It was a really cool setting. I've always loved the setting of the Tribute to the Troops shows because it's different. It's different, and I like it. So we start off, and it was a very fun match. It was probably my favorite match of the night. It was really good. So how this all ended: Edge went to the top rope. Cena tried for an FU off the top, but then Edge turned it into an electric chair. He goes for a spear, but Cena moves out of the way and hits the FU to get the victory. So yeah, fun match. And then we had Commanding General George W. Casey Jr. coming out and thanking all the WWE superstars for entertaining the troops. And then it shows a slideshow with the troops with various WWE superstars. And after that, we get Shelton Benjamin versus CM Punk. And CM Punk had only just been with the company for like a couple of months at this point, and even back then, I was already a big fan of his because I didn't know any of his stuff in Ring of Honor or IWA Mid-South or anything because I was only like 8 at the time. But I thought his look and the way he acted and just his whole character of the straight edge lifestyle, I thought was really cool. And these two and this was a very fast-paced, very smooth, good match. Shelton is so talented, man, and especially in this match, he was really good. There was a bit where Punk was on the top rope and he just ran up and just did a belly-to-belly off of it. Oh, he's so good. I'm so happy that he's back in the WWE now, man. But how this ended, Shelton misses a splash in the corner and gets the roll-up, and Punk gets the roll-up victory to win the match. So yeah, cool little match. Then we get to a weird match. We get to Johnny Nitro versus The Undertaker. Because, you know, why not? I mean, they weren't feuding at the time. I don't remember them feuding at the time. This was the second inter-brand match, because Johnny Nitro was on Raw at the time, and Undertaker was on SmackDown. And the match previous, CM Punk was on the ECW brand, and Shelton was on Raw. So that was pretty weird. But pretty much Undertaker won easily with the Snake Eyes, Big Boot, Chokeslam, Tombstone. Basic stuff there. Yeah, fine match. Lillian sang the Star Spangled Banner, which she absolutely nailed. I love it when she sings like America the Beautiful and stuff like that. She's got a great singing voice. And what happened was, a day before the taping, they showed this clip or montage. A day before the taping for Tribute to the Troops, a mortar attack happened near the camp, which unfortunately injured 14 soldiers. Then they had Michael Cole reporting the details from the scene minutes later, and they showed all the crew and stuff that was putting the ring together. They had to hide underneath the ring to make sure, you know, nothing happened. So that's some scary shit right there. So yeah, seeing that was pretty fucking scary. I felt bad for him. After that was Hardcore Holly versus Bobby Lashley, who was the ECW World Champion at this point. He had won the title in an Extreme Elimination Chamber at the shittiest pay-per-view of all time, the 7th of December. It's pretty much the room of wrestling pay-per-views for the WWE anyway. It's shit. Don't ever watch it. But this match was also, it was alright. This was just a match to showcase, you know, Bobby Lashley's strength, because he looked really good in this match. He hit a really good torture rack knee drop. During the end of this, Hardcore Holly hit a Alabama Slam. Well, he tried to, but he rolled out. But Lashley hits a running power slam to get the victory. So yeah, cool stuff there. The Iraqi army captain Faraz Hassam Nama, I probably butchered his name. I'm so sorry if I did. Gets an interview and he talks about not wanting to live under Saddam Hussein and wants to live in democracy. You know, he's grateful for the American troops helping the Iraqi people, which, you know, that's all good with me. And they show the superstars hanging out with the troops, which is always good. Then we had Umaga versus Jeff Hardy. So Jeff Hardy was Intercontinental Champion at the time, and Umaga was just on this streak. He was on this undefeated streak. He just debuted at the Backlash pay-per-view in 2006. And he hadn't lost a match since. And this was all. And they were talking about his match with John Cena for the WWE title at New Year's Revolution, which he didn't win. Cena did win, which was the start of the many wins of Super Cena. But this was just a good match to showcase Umaga and how strong and scary he is. But you know, Jeff held his own for a little bit. He ended up knocking him off with a whisper in the wind from the top. Hit a twist of fate on him, went for a swanton bomb, but Umaga lifted his knees up. Umaga with that running arse slam, it's the same thing the Usos do, and they hit the Samoan spike to get the win. After that was the final match of the night, which was Randy Orton versus Carlito. Carlito was really well received when he came out. I think he was on a big mid-card push at the time as a babyface. He would later turn heel in May of 2007, but at this point he had just turned babyface, I think in April or May, so against Chris Masters, because they were teammates at WrestleMania 22, but now they're all buddies with. But now he's a good guy, and Chris Masters is still a bad guy. So I know he did have a match against Randy Orton in Unforgiven, which had one of the sickest RKO catches ever. But how this all ended, the backbreaker gets pushed off by Orton because the backstabber gets pushed off by Orton, which was Carlito's signature move at the time. He uses the ropes for a leverage pin, but the ref sees his foot on the ropes. However, Carlito gets a roll-up, grabs him by the trunks, and wins the match anyway. So yeah, bad refereeing in that match. But yeah, I miss Carlito, man. He was cool. And if you don't like Carlito, I will spit in the face of people who don't want to be cool. But the final segment of the night was Santa Claus showing up to greet the troops. And he introduces his little helpers, which are Tori Wilson, Maria, and Crystal. And he tries to flirt with the divas, which just comes off as creepy and gross. So just like who's the person playing him in real life, which you'll find out later on. And he gives gifts out to the troops, which are some t-shirts and copies of Saints Row for the Xbox 360. And Tori Wilson throws out one of her bras and her panties, which, okay. Ah, man, you gotta love the women in 2006. But Chris Masters, being the party pooper that he is, decides to come out and host a Master Lock challenge. And he does the typical heel stuff, saying, I hate Christmas, and Santa's not real, and all that stuff. And shames the troops for drooling all over the divas. And offers Santa a chance to break the Master Lock in his Master Lock challenge. But unfortunately, Santa can't keep up with it and just dies and doesn't break out of it. And then he calls out one of the troops in the crowd. Okay, one of you troops. I want to find the biggest, baddest troop there is. And this troop comes out, which Chris Masters just towers over. I mean, he's the masterpiece, man. He's got muscle on top of muscle. And so he puts him in the Master Lock and all that. And then it turns out Saint Nick is good old JBL. Yeah, fucking whippy. Which does make sense since it was JBL who seems to get a lot of the credit for creating tribute to the troops. So he takes off his suit, it's JBL, and he hits Masters, and the dude breaks out of the Master Lock. It's the first person to ever break out of it. And then Masters ends up getting laid out with a clothesline from hell by JBL, and that's how we end the show. So, yeah, for the first tribute to the troop show I've ever seen, it was a fun show. It doesn't go towards any storylines that were happening at the time. It was just people putting on a show, just people wrestling just to entertain the troops, which, fine by me. They do our troops, not just in America, but hell, even here in Australia and around the world, they put their lives on the line day in and day out to protect our countries. And you know what? That's awesome. And just for the WWE to kind of pay back and say thank you for everything that you do, it's really cool to see. But yeah, this is going to be it for this review. I hope you have enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like, comment down below. If you want to see more from me, hit that subscribe button. You'll be glad you did. Twitter and Instagram is at JackmanLaw31. Check me out there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm out in 3, 2, 1.